Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is a continuation of the previous discourse regarding the present situation of Palestine. So far we have discussed the present situation, how the Muslims are suffering in Gaza and Palestine, and then we discussed the triple view of the Jerusalem, means that what the Christians, Jews and Muslims are thinking about the Jerusalem, what are their views. And we concluded that as soon as Muslims gained strength and started victories outside Makkah, Medina and Arabia, they defeated and captured the most powerful Christian countries such as Egypt, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Spain, Central Asia, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Greece, Turkey and Cyprus, etc. Before this, the Christian and Jews, they were considering the Arabs to be a camel headers, ignorant and incompetent, as Muslims are nowadays thinking the same lines about the Arabs. However, in this episode, I have to discuss the Crusaders who are the responsible for this, what is happening at present in Gaza. It was in November 1095, the Pope Urban2nd who summoned the First Crusade War, addressing a vast crowd of priests and the poor people. Urban called for a holy war against the Muslims, against Islam. He said to his people that this is a barbarian race from Central Asia who had recently become Muslims, had swept Anatolia in Asia, modern Turkey, and had occupied Christian lands. He cried and said, an accursed race. He said the Muslims, it's a cursed race, a race utterly alienated from the God. God killing these godless monsters was a holy act. It was a Christian's duty to eliminate this race from our land. It was shameful that the tomb of the Christ should be in the hands of Islam. It was his speech that time, how he was encouraging the people to fight against the Muslims. The crusading theme seemed to be somehow relevant to both modern conflict and the uneasy relationship that has existed over the years between Judaism, Christianity and Islam. I believe that the Crusades were one of the direct causes of the conflict in the Middle East today. It is not only me, the Christian writers have openly have written about it. As I said, the first crusade in which the powerful countries of the Europe participated took place in 1096, and for this it was the Pope Urban2nd who encouraged Christians. The Christians conquered Jerusalem, Palestine and adjacent areas. I would like to recall the history. When Christians occupied Jerusalem in 1098, they brutally killed all men, women and children, even those who took refuge in the Masjid al-Aqsa. Western historians themselves have openly written about this barbarianism, that the blood was flowing in the mosque and outside and have come up to the knees of their horses. This was the situation, and it has been also discussed Christian scholars in their own books. The Second Crusade was fought from 1147 to 1149. The army was led by King Conrad III of Germany and Louis III of France. The aim and purpose was to oppose Imam-ud-Din Zengi and prevent him from liberating Christian occupied territories. Imam-ud-Din Zengi died during the war, and the command of the army was taken over by his brave son Nuruddin Zengi, who fought very decisively and defeated the Christian army very badly. The third war was fought during the 11th 89 to 11th 92. It was the biggest and decisive war, and all Christians of Europe were involved in it, and the aim was to stop the famous Muslim commander Salahuddin from capturing the Jerusalem. The Christian armies were commanded by King Richard Feridil of England, King Philip of France, and King Frederick Barbarossa of Germany. Salahuddin defeated them decisively and crushed the Christian army at the Hutton. Barbarossa had already drowned while crossing a river in Turkey. Salahuddin conquered Jerusalem, took the Goy of Jerusalem as a prisoner, and killed Reynold of Kruk, who was fighting during that time. The Fourth Crusade was fought from 1202 to 1204, means 2 years, but the Christians fought among themselves. They were divided, should we fight or should we not, and the Muslims were able to capture the Constantinople, today's Istanbul, which was the capital of the Christian kingdom in those days. The Fifth Crusade began in 1218 and lasted until 1221. The Christians invaded Egypt but were defeated by Camel Ayyubi dynasty. The Sixth Crusade was fought from 1228 to 1229 and was led by Frederick II, King of Germany. There was no war, but the Malik Camel Ayyubi handed the Baitul Maqdis to the Christians, but it gives a negative impression in the Muslim community, and they were very angry, and the Muslims found it very disgraceful, and they recaptured the Baitul Maqdis in 1244. The Seventh Crusade took place in 1248 and 1249, led by King Louis IX of France. They were defeated, and Louis was arrested, and barely he could pay the compensation and escaped. But this does not stop the Christians and these crusaders from the war. The Eighth Crusade war took place in 1270 till to 1271, and it involved Louis IX again and King Edward of England, but instead of Palestine, they invaded Tunisia, and Louis IX was killed or died there. There was also another crusade war. The Western Christians, they were saying that the sins, our adults are sinners, they have committed sins, they are not able to capture the Jerusalem, and we need an army of innocent young boys and they formed a big army of the youngsters, and they sent them out of the French port of Mar. There, the adult army, when they saw, they attacked those young, new youngsters, youth, and they made them their employee and sold them as slaves. And this was the first phase of the Crusade War. The Second Crusade War, the phase was initiated by the Christian Western countries after industrial development or revolution, and it appeared in the late 13th and early 14th century. The British, French, Spanish, Dutch, and German governments launched a campaign to capture and destroy the Muslim governments and killed millions of Muslims and captured Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Libya, Egypt, Sudan, Uganda, Senegal, Syria, Palestine, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, India, Gambia, etc. And the Muslims became the victims of their cruelties. On the other side, the Russians occupied all the Muslim empires of the Central Asia, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, and Chechnya. All this Central Asia was captured by the Russians. Millions of Muslims and others were captured from Africa and sent to the North and the South America as slaves, and they are still slaves there. The third and the present series of the Crusades took place few decades ago. We know it very well, when a self-proclaimed reborn Christian extremist George Bush, Tony Blair, Sarkozy, and the rulers began to implement plans to destroy the Muslims again, first with the help of Saddam. They encouraged Saddam to attack Iran, and otherwise they will attack you. The Iranian government suffered irreparable damage. Millions of Muslims were killed, billions of dollars were lost. Then they attacked Saddam himself by floating international laws and destroyed the Iraq. The richest country of the world became poor and took full control of the oil by those Western powers. They already occupied the reservoirs of the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, and there was only one country, Syria, was little free, and they were looking for any excuse to attack it. And they attacked it with international approval, with an excuse for no excuse. And this is the situation. They have captured the whole of the Muslim countries one by one, and now they are capturing Gaza, Palestine, slowly by their own powers. These big powers are behind all this scenario. The point is that it starts from the Urban2nd Crusade War, and it is still going on. That's why George Bush said once that it is a fight against the Crusades. So, inshallah, in next episode, we need to keep in mind these wars are not just they are big powers. It is because our own people who are the traitors who are helping them to do it, to kill the innocent Muslims, as long as their sovereignty will be saved. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to understand our own religion, our deen. Jazakumullah khair, ahsan al-jaza. In next episode, we will discuss what are the reasons of this, what the Muslim countries are doing. Thank you very much.